Mike Trout. It's look, he's one of the best players in baseball history. It's just not gone so well of late for him or his club with Boston coming to town. 11 straight losses. He is 0 for his last 26, longest stretch of hitless play in Mike Trout's still relatively young career. Kind of impressive to think about, actually. But with Steve Buchanan, DK contributor, I'm Adam Kaufman. Let's do a little baseball talk to close out this show. Bukes, top plays on what is a smaller slate tonight, obviously. The people need to fill out their DFS lineups, though. It's always a priority. So you tell me, who is putting up the most points tonight?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of options to choose from tonight, despite the slate being as small as it is. There's a lot of good options to choose from. I like Bo Bichette. We like the Blue Jays overall, but Bo Bichette going against the lefty Daniel Lynch, who has really been lit up over his past few starts, giving up 12 runs over his last 3 starts, including 6 the last time out against a Guardians team that's been playing very well right now. But overall, the Blue Jays have been one of the better teams against lefties. That's also in part of because what Bo Bichette is doing as well. Over the past year against lefties, 396 WOBA facing them. So I think Bo Bichette on this small slate, Blue Jays overall, one of the better options to choose from.
Not a cheapy guy, so where are you going to find some value?
Yeah, there's actually a decent amount of value on this slate. If you really want to kind of go down the list here, I think a couple of names you can look at is Mark Hanna going up against the lefty Blake Snell. This has a really low over-under because of Carlos Carrasco, Blake Snell going up against each other. But you look at the numbers for Hanna against lefties, he's averaging 7.3 DraftKings fantasy points, and we've even seen him lead off at times when going against the lefty. He's primarily in the 5 to 6 spot, so we could see a bump for him up in the lineup because his numbers skew dramatically when facing a left-handed pitcher. Snell's only made 3 starts so far this season, had mixed results in that sense, but I think Canna at only 2,900 and a very, very good Mets offense, by the way, that are hitting right now. I think this is a really good spot for him, help you save some money on this daily fantasy slate. $2,900 for Canna. That's one of the better plays to make.
We're not just paying attention to daily fantasy. We've got our friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook as well, Bukes. And you were talking about Bo Bichette before and his Blue Jays. They were the hottest team in baseball going into the weekend. Did drop 2 out of 3 to the Central leading Twins. So this next game against the Royals tonight, what's a bet you like in this game?
Yeah, so for the Blue Jays to go over their team totals, currently set at 5.5 runs. This is a pretty beefy total that they have to go over there. But I mentioned the struggles that Daniel Lynch has endured, especially as of late. As I mentioned, his last time out, 6 runs allowed against the Guardians, a team that, nobody really had any high hopes for. They're suddenly in second place in the American League Central, but going over 5.5 runs, even if they don't get it off of Daniel Lynch, that Royals bullpen has been absolutely atrocious. Not only do they have one of the highest ERAs in the league over the course of the year, just in the past week alone, they have a 5.68 ERA and have a walk rate of 6.1 over 9 innings. That is one of the highest in the league over that span. So they're putting a ton of traffic on the base pass, and now you're facing a Blue Jays team that suddenly is starting to hit, is suddenly coming alive. That's just going to lead to bad things for the Royals. So even though 5.5 runs is a very big total for this team to have to pass to get 6 runs, the way they've been hitting and the way this Royals pitching staff is pitching, if that's what you want to call it at this rate, I like them to go over 5.5 runs.
If you're a new viewer to the Sweat, I got to tell you, it would not be a segment with Steve Buchanan if there wasn't a question about the Mariners and there wasn't a question about Robbie Ray. You put those two together in the same question and just, you know what I mean? 5.5 the strikeout total on the DK Sportsbook, Bukes. How do you like that line?
Yeah, that seems pretty low right now. Now, the Astros have been one of the toughest teams in the league to strike out. Their K rate is down near 17%. That is not very high by any means, but at least since the beginning of May, Robbie Ray feels like he's starting to kind of turn it around, at least with the strikeouts. They are getting runs against him, but the strikeouts have been coming along. Since the May 10th start against the Phillies, he has struck out no less than 6 hitters in those 5 straight starts, 8 or more in 4 of those starts. So 5.5 feels like a little too low here. This number is lower than usual because of how tough the Astros are to strike out, but 5.5 feels like a number that Ray should be able to go over. As I mentioned, he's gone over this now in 5 straight starts. Even with the production that other teams are getting against him, he's still consistently going around 6 innings in these starts. So he has a good chance, I think, to go over this number. It's kind of currently at -110 to go over 5.5 strikeouts. Give me that one from my boy, Robbie Ray.
You mentioned it before. It's not a big slate, but there are some good games, including a good matchup in the National League. Two of the top teams in the league, as a matter of fact, the Mets and the Padres are matching up. Is there a line in this game you like?
Yeah, so this total is set at 7.5. I think the under is the play in this one at -115. We talked about how Snell has been having some issues, but one guy that hasn't really been having any issues is Carlos Carrasco. We saw him getting lit up on so many different occasions. Last year, had surgery. They helped his elbow there, and he said he feels like he has full motion of his elbow after that surgery, and it's really shown with how well he's been pitching. So I think this number they're gonna come close to hitting the over on this number at 8, but I feel like the under is the play in this one, especially with these guys going. Both of these guys have the capability to go deep into these games. So while 7.5 runs is one of the lowest totals on the board, I still think this game can go under. So give me under 7.5 runs between these two teams at -115.
Bukes, the DK Sportsbook is your oyster. You can look at any bet, slate approved pick. What's your favorite tonight?
Yeah, the Red Sox on the run line through the first 5 innings, going against Noah Syndergaard at +0.5 run in this one. The Red Sox have been one of the most profitable teams on the run line through the first 5 innings. They are 31-23 in that scenario. Over the last 10 games, 6-4. And tonight they're facing Syndergaard, who has really been struggling as of late. Over his last 3 starts, 10 runs allowed on 15 hits through just 11 innings pitched. And then we talk about this Angels team on this horrific losing streak that they're on, losing 11 in a row. During that span, they're averaging just 3.1 runs per game. 4 of those games, they've scored 1 run or less in that span. The pitching staff is doing horrible right now. The offense is not mustering anything at the plate. So give me the Red Sox to be leading in this game through the first 5 innings with Michael Walker on the mound. You're getting that right now at +0.5 run. I think that's one of the better plays to take tonight.
Buke, since we have an extra minute or two, and while I've got you here, the Red Sox, you were just talking about them. They've won 4 straight. I think they've outscored their opponents during that stretch, like 27-5, something like that. The starting pitching has been elite, at least through the last turn of the rotation. And this team, more notably, is back to 500 for the first time since late April. Are you buying it all, or is this just a good stretch?
You know, the Red Sox were one of the more underperforming teams when you look at their advanced stats, like expected batting average, expected WOBA. They were miles away from what was actually being put on the field. Now things are starting to click here. The problem is they're playing in the AL East, and there's about 3 other teams that they have to combat to get back into contention here. Now, you do mention they're right there in the wild card. That's probably going to be the path for them, because it's going to be hard to leap over the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Yankees, which seems like they've already locked up this division to begin with. But I am buying that this team was much, much better than we saw during the months of late April and early May. I think this is a team that we expected more, and it's coming at a crucial time because trade deadline rumors are already starting to come up. If this team isn't in contention, they have some very valuable chips that they can move off. But if they're going to start playing like this, they're going to be in no position to be trading off those chips. So I think this is the perfect time for them to be hitting well. And the schedule that they have coming up over the next 2 weeks is very favorable. So I'm buying this team is playing well, as they should have been over a month and a half ago.